As we learn more about Israel's possible ground invasion into Gaza, and now it's land and sea, as the IDF tells us as well, let's bring in retired Lieutenant General of the U.S. Army, William Troy. Lieutenant General, thanks so much for being here and lending your expertise. Based on your experience in the U.S. Army, how difficult will it be for Israel to carry out any sort of ground invasion in Gaza?
Well, first, you have to look at the attacker has certain advantages and the defender has certain advantages. The attacker gets to choose the time, the place, and the means to start his attack. So right now, Israel has many options open. What axes to go on? Should they do any deception operations? Do any feints? They have options. As soon as they commit, then those options start to disappear. Then they're committed onto a course of action, which is urban fighting in a densely populated area with many civilians still on the battlefield. And the Israeli enemy will use those civilians to make the Israeli operations that much more difficult.
So what other kind of advantages? I mean, it's a bizarre world where one would say civilians, are an advantage to one side of this. But what other advantages will Hamas have in terms of a ground invasion? Obviously, it's on their territory.
Yes, it's on their territory. So they know those city blocks. They know those buildings. And that kind of urban fighting is block by block, building by building, and sometimes room by room. It places a premium on intelligence, which is hard to gain because a lot of your overhead systems, your high-tech systems, their effectiveness is greatly diminished by being in built-up areas. So the defender, Hamas, has advantages that can produce confusion and casualties, and that's what he's looking for.
So this comes as President Biden says his administration is, quote, working like hell to rescue the more than a dozen Americans trapped in Gaza. What conditions, actually, we know from past conflicts what Hamas does with hostages. So obviously what they're going through right now is horrific in nature and probably being spread out, all over Gaza. But are you confident at all that they can be rescued?
I think it's extremely difficult. No one wants to give up hope. No one wants to sound pessimistic. But these kinds of operations, as you know, they take an exquisite level of intelligence and a high level of human intelligence and technical intelligence. And I think you could make the argument that if Israel had that kind of intelligence before now, perhaps they wouldn't be in the situation that they are in. So I think that intelligence is very hard to come by, and it's essential for those kinds of forceful operations.
And sir, the Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza reports that more than 2,000 people have been killed in Gaza since October 7th. Those numbers are almost certain to rise when Israel goes through with a ground invasion. Talk to us a little bit about what this means for the international community.
Well, I think it's obvious it's going to cause great difficulties as these civilian casualties rise. The moral support of nations, not just in the West, but throughout the world, will be tested by a rise in civilian casualties and the level of destruction that can accompany an operation like this. It's going to be a fearful toll, and it's something that I'm sure Israel has thought out, but it is going to be a very difficult part of this operation.
No doubt about that. Retired Lieutenant General of the U.S. Army, William Troy. Again, thanks so much for your expertise.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.